Welcome everyone to Happy Hour Hangout, the power of purpose. We are in the summer month this time around. We're going to be doing a Happy Hour Hangout every season. So we've already done spring with the intuition theme, and now we're in power of purpose. And we'll be doing a fall one as well, so look out for that. So I'm Michelle Powell, and my website is michellepowell.me. I'm an intuitive life coach, professional organizer, and feng shui consultant. And who I have with me here, the beautiful Marci Castillo.
Hey.
Say hi, Marci.
Hi, everybody.
You're going to tell people who you are, darling.
Yeah, my name is Marci Castillo, and I have a website. It's called marcigene.com, and I work with people. I'm a life and business strategist, so I work on making people feel beautiful. Hair flare and self-care is basically what I like to say.
I like that.
So,
I haven't heard you say that before.
yeah.
Yay! So we're going to talk about the power of purpose today, and I see one person on already. Hi, Rosalie. So good to see you. Feel free, just for anyone that comes on live, or if you're watching, because I know you can watch this via live stream, feel free to ask questions in the chat box or in the Google event or the Facebook event, and we will check that in a few minutes after we get going. And then we're going to start off by talking about where we came from as far as purpose and kind of what it's about and how this season is really working for us in that regard. And then we're going to get into some of the questions and any of the coaching if anyone comes on to receive that. So, so basically, Marci, tell me why you were excited to talk about the power of purpose today.
Well, I think that when I talk to a lot of people behind the chair as a hairdresser, and then as I moved into working with people as a coach, it was a very distinct shift being around a lot of people who were doing in the coaching industry, in the wellness industry, anything kind of like self-help or wellness. There was a lot, like purpose is like a buzzword. And what I noticed is that it kind of almost has like when you talk about purpose, it almost has like a halt energy, like, oh, I have to find that. Like, what is that? And so I don't know. So I felt like there's this really great thing to talk about the power of it instead of like finding it, and what that looks like from person to person, what their journey with purpose finding is.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think that one of the reasons why we started these happy hour hangouts, Marci, was to, like we said in the description, start the conversation. So not there's an end result or there's a desired destination, but it is the journey, right? And it is the conversation to allow for creative expression and exploration. So I love talking to you about this stuff, Marci, and you are such an inspiration to me and everyone that I see that you interact with as well. So why don't you actually start off by telling your story, because I think it's really interesting what you're doing now and how you're blending in what you want to do eventually in the future and also where you're at now and kind of using your strengths that way.
So I'm also trying to do this Periscope thing too, which is kind of funky.
Oh yeah, tell people what that is.
So we're doing the Google Hangout, but I'm also trying to do Periscope at the same time. So I'm trying to figure out the best way to get a view of you and myself, like so I can actually change the screen. But I'm trying to. I think this is going to be like kind of a practice run,
yeah,
like how to do both. So let's see. I'm going to see if I can get on here and be able to, so just give me 1 second. So Periscope is a Twitter app, and it is a really great way to connect all over the world because people can go on and they can actually see who's doing a live feed. So I thought it would be kind of fun to see if somebody acts, kind of intuitively connects into what we're doing and finds us that way.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna go on and get on there. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
can't wait to get on that too. I haven't watched anything yet, but I'm super excited that you're doing both of these at the same time. Um, and yeah, let me know if anyone says anything. Do they comment? Is that how it works?
yeah. So I'm gonna let me turn the volume off on my thing because it has a lag
Mm-hmm.
on it.
Yeah.
So so Periscope is basically you're seeing a live feed of, you can actually have the camera flipped and be watching like what's in front of you, or you can flip it to where it's kind of like selfie version. But what the cool thing about it is that is you can talk and then people are actually typing questions. So like for example, my partner Danny is in a band and I don't really get to go to all of his shows. And what's really fun for us is that I'll have him Periscope his shows so I can still support him and see what he's doing. And I'm actually on there answering questions about people who are hopping on. And I'm explaining that, oh, it's just my boyfriend's, doing um, he's playing in his band, but I really want to be there and I can't be there maybe in Seattle or if he's in San Francisco or playing even Portland and I have to work the next day and I just want to be home and more grounded. I still have the ability to be there and I can kind of answer questions to the people that are watching who are asking him, who obviously he's in this, he's playing in his band, so he can't answer the questions. So I get to kind of pop on and answer questions for people who are randomly getting in. So it's just kind of a different way to connect with people. Sometimes I'll pop on and maybe just kind of see who's out there and you can answer questions and it's really kind of casual,
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
so our Periscopers who are on, we are live right now. We're doing a Google Hangout, and we're also doing a Periscope at the same time. So it's myself, Ms. Marci, and Michelle Powell. Her handle is at Michelle Powell, and the two L's at the end are 11, and her handle's on there. And we're doing happy hour hangout. And what that is it's a conversation. We both had been talking a lot together as friends, and we decided that we wanted to do it live so that other people had the ability to connect and have these soulful discussions. Is there a way, if people are on Periscope and they want to jump on the Hangout, what's the best way to find us that way? If they want to jump on the Hangout and ask on there.
You can actually invite, I believe you can invite people at the top where it has the plus sign and get that link, but we also have a happy hour hangout event on Facebook and Google Plus where they can just search that.
Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, if you want to jump on the Google Hangout, because at the end you can do Periscope. Obviously, you can ask, and I'll try to answer questions here. But if you want to see both Michelle and I doing the Google Hangout, you can search the Google Hangout and find us on there, Happy Hour Hangout. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So anyways, that's enough Periscoping. So people jump in, they can figure it out.
They can figure it out.
They can figure it out.
Well, what I love about it is I just want to say that I created this with you, Marci, because I loved the casual nature about it, and especially involving anyone who wants to jump on and off, and just making sure that there's points that we want to talk and touch on, but there's also the ability to just go offhand or just talk about what is coming up in the moment. So I really like this casual nature about it, and especially you bringing in that Periscope piece, because I think that's really fun, and especially the video piece, so that's awesome. So, you're really quiet now, Marci. So basically, I will start off then. Marci is a hairstylist in addition to a teacher and mentor and coach and all of those beautiful things. So I'd love, Marci, if you can tell everyone your quick story about how you came into the realization of your purpose and kind of moving through and transitioning and also connecting both of those things for you.
So I would say that the first, I guess, awareness that I had of anything that I can, relate to purpose was when I was in high school. Everything I did was performance. I was in theater. I was a singer. I was in chamber singers. I was a lead singer in a band, in high school. And so everything I did was of an expressive nature. And so there was this switch where not only was I expressing myself in theater and through singing, is that I started to find this expression through clothes, through hair, and through makeup. Wasn't attracted to doing it for other people. I was more so finding this way that I could kind of feel more myself and have this kind of unique, kind of fun way to express myself. And so I started doing that, and I lived in Southern California growing up, and when one of my girlfriends, before we could drive, we would go to Melrose, and we would walk through all the vintage stores. And I just remember being like, 15 years old and walking into, these really awesome vintage stores. And there are these people with like bright hair and, all these different eras. Someone will look like they're straight from the 70s. Someone look like they're, vibing on the 60s. And it was just like this energy that I felt within myself that was just like this self-expression piece just really bubbled up in me. And I felt really free and really open that, I could go in and touch all of these like old clothes that have this history and I could put these outfits together. And so I would be with my girlfriends at the time, and I'm still close with these girls that I grew up with, and we would go through and I would find things and I would kind of be like, oh, you should wear this, and oh, you should do this. And I would, get excited about these clothes and hand them over and help them feel connected to that as well. And it was something that we all shared. And when I found out that I could, go to hair school in high school and I didn't have money for college, it was the perfect thing for me to do at the time, because I wouldn't go into debt. I'd be able to do something that helps others feel beautiful. And that felt really natural to me. And so I've spent the last 17 years behind the chair as a hairdresser. And it has helped me understand the values that I carry as a person. And just, I'm in San Francisco right now, taking care of people who I haven't seen in 2 years, because I stopped coming down to do hair here 2 years ago, and was kind of basically begged to come back so that I can do their hair. And the connections I made after not seeing these people for 2 years, the hugs, the cries, the deep connection I have with these people, I'll tear up just talking about it, but I was telling my girlfriend last night, I did a house call for one of my clients, and I did their little girl's hair, their first haircut, and I had never met her. I knew them from when I did their hair. And it was just such a beautiful thing. And I was telling my girlfriend who I'm staying with, I said, what I do is so amazing that I get to go into these people's lives and be with them in such an intimate way, even in their house. Like I'm at a house doing a house call, and then I like leave there and I'm walking the streets of San Francisco, and I'm like, this is so awesome. What a treat to be able to do this. And so just knowing that like my purpose is always being myself, but the way that I radiate it out into the world changes based on like, what I choose to do with it. But hair has been a big thing. And then moving into developing intuition, which we talked about last time, was huge. Really understanding my intuition and what I'm feeling from moment to moment. All of those things have really led me to see that what I do really doesn't matter. It's who I am and how I show up. That is always going to be more clear and more important.
Mm-hmm. So who you are and how you show up is basically what you're saying is the purpose.
Yeah. After a little bit later, I can kind of talk a little bit more about that and even share my story of just today.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of my thing.
I know, and I love hearing about this because I feel like we're so similar in the blending of what we're doing now and kind of what we've done for so long, right? whereas you mixed in your skill and your mastery as a hairstylist, and how that did involve the creative expression in addition to connecting with people and talking and really getting intimate in that certain way, but still leaving it professional. It's beautiful. I like it. Cool, yeah. And I think I relate so well too to you, Marci, because I'm still in transition myself into the coaching world and into the mentorship, leaving just one piece of me, behind, and kind of harnessing a greater expression and greater service to the world. So I just love watching you and hearing your stories and being able to talk with you, because it's such an inspiration.
Aw, I feel the same way, girl. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got here, and a little bit of your story?
Yeah, so I've been a professional organizer, as you know, for about 4 years, a little over 4 years, and same with a feng shui consultant. So I've been doing that for a while now. And what I found during those times, well, actually, let me back up. The reason why I got into that is because I felt there was a very big missing piece in everyone's lives as far as the connection they have to their space, and not just their home, but everything around them, their family, their car, even their work, their choice of activities or anything like that. So I sought out a different meaning to those everyday activities and people and things and places. And that's how I found feng shui. And then I found eventually organizing, and I could do that in of service to the world and an expression of myself. But eventually that got me yearning for more of the deeper meaning into the space and the people and the things. And so that's why I decided to come into the coaching world and the mentorship world, and teach people how they can bring in more meaning and magic and fun and connection to their everyday life. So I think what I bring to that from my experience as if in relation to purpose is that inspiring piece, is that motivating piece, and that connection piece of like, you are normal no matter what you're going through, and everyone needs that connection. Everyone needs that piece of meaning that's missing that they can't even see. So I love, love, love being that objective person to kind of bring in the perspective that they need, right? So if someone's kind of stuck or whatever they need, that shift in perception, that shift in perspective, and that great kind of like light a fire under them to grow into their greatness. That's what I always like to say, is guiding women to their greatness, because power, like the power of purpose, is the point of greatness. And so that's why I'm so excited to talk about this tonight, at least.
Yeah. Well, and I think I always, say that's why I feel like we're just like a perfect duo, because you have such this grounded, way about you, and that I feel like a lot of people walk around very ungrounded, and they they're not only are searching, but they maybe don't have the daily practices and the things that they need to really be grounded in what it is to just be themselves, just what it is to just live a genuine, authentic, life, just being, working on the relationship that they have with themselves first.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that I love just when I hear you speak is that you just have that grounded sense, and I think that is a lot of the times an invitation for somebody else to find that same energy within themselves. And I feel like when I'm doing hair, or I'm talking, or I'm sharing just whatever's going on, I find that it's similar in that way, that it's by me just taking care of myself. When I have a conversation with people, I can't tell you how many times someone says like, "Oh, I've never thought of it that way," or "Wow, the way that you said that was, I've never heard anyone." It's constant that me just sharing whatever I'm learning about myself, or maybe a struggle or an inspiration, that just me taking care of me inspires others to go within or speak their truth or whatever it might be. And so that's just, my focus a lot of the times. It's just, how to be the best me so that others have the confidence
Absolutely.
to do the same.
Yeah. And you and I both know the whole piece of self-care, right? That is
Mhm.
what creates our momentum in life. Yeah. So it's wonderful to that's why I just love talking to you, because we agree on everything and we always have the same beliefs and structures that way. You made me think of that piece of practicing. You know, you said taking care of yourself, but also what I thought of was practicing being ourselves. So a lot of the times when we get, especially in social situations, we get caught up. We get a little superficial, or we reflect more of the people around us instead of becoming more of us, right? So what would you
Mhm.
say to someone who is feeling a little weary in that area? Maybe it's hard to kind of emerge and be themselves, you know?
Well, I think the first thing is that one of the things that I've had in my life, and I feel so grateful, and it was uh, very clear this past weekend when I shared when a client shared with me a personal story, and I was able to see that how lucky I am from a young age having people who really saw me, who really supported me. So sometimes just having one friend, one person in your life that um, is either as sensitive as you or can hold space for you or whatever, um, truly being seen and heard is sometimes something like not everyone has that, and I take it for granted how many people in my life have been that for me and have championed me and have I always say, like, fan the flames of my fire, of my drive. And that's a perfect starting point, is that
Mm-hmm.
if you don't feel like you have that, then your relationship with yourself has to become so, like, your number one thing, that you understand what it feels like to be seen and heard by yourself, what it feels like to take care of you. um, Obviously meditation, daily practices, rituals, journaling, any way that you're expressing yourself, you have those ways to see yourself or others to enjoy, you know the reflection of you, or the reflection of themselves in you. um, it's it's a lot easier, and like I said, I take it for granted. It's a lot easier when you've had that, and then
Mm-hmm.
you haven't, because there's moments where I haven't had that, and how much I can lean on that. And then when I don't have it, I have to go back and say, oh wow, like, I have all these tools, and I'm going to use my tools, because I don't have someone fanning my flames and being like, you're awesome, keep going, yay. It's like, I have to be that person. I have to fan my own flame and use my tools, and say, like, if I'm depleted, I know what to do. If I'm ungrounded, I know what to do. If I need inspiration, I know what to do. And you know, connecting to that.
Yeah. And I see what you're talking about the reflection from others. So the reflection that they see in you and how important that is, because that creates our confidence. When we hear others seeing us in a way, especially if we like how they see us, then it will increase our confidence and motivation to kind of keep going. For me, I think support has a huge, huge impact on, or has had, I'm sorry, has had a huge impact on me stepping into my purpose. And I feel like when I look at my other sisters, watching them grow into who they are and more of their greatness, I feel like the more support you can ask for and receive, the more you can grow into and find what you're really meant to be as far as your power and your greatness. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because I have two younger sisters. Same thing like you're saying. When you look at your sibling, And just when they, seeing that, like, that not having myself not having a bigger sister in my life, that I look for that in sisterhood. I look for that in my relationships with the women that are in my life. I look for sisterhood because I am a leader and a sister and a mentor to my sisters, and you seek that, and as they're growing, they need you, and so I need that, and I want to be that for them, and I want to be that for the people around me. So you're constantly nurturing and feeding yourself the way that know how to, so that you can be that for the people that you care about.
Yeah, I thought of collaboration. What we just were saying is like the collaboration piece, either with it's your family or friends or professional. That right there is a fire igniter into your purpose, right? And like when you have that collaboration, when you're being yourself and fully taking care of yourself and owning who you are and setting boundaries and all of that, and then the other person comes in and is inspired by you and shows up at the same level. And then there's so much synchronicity, there's so much systemization, right? So much is possible, I feel like, when there is that neutral acceptance and support.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think too, like, there's an also, the whole support piece, that when you have a lot of support and then you maybe don't feel like you're supported in an environment, maybe you're in a new job or a new relationship or whatever, it's an interesting thing to look at how much we rely on others for support, and then really doing personal inventory of, like, how are you supporting yourself, and that's something that I definitely have had a lesson more recently with that sometimes I count on others to support me more than I can find within myself. And it's really finding that balance between, availability to yourself to support whatever it is that's going on, and then, like you're saying, having the people in your life that you ask for help and support, or whether that's finding a coach, or self-care, acupuncturist, doctor, whatever you're going through, is that finding that play where you can get supported in a way that you need in whatever's going on in your life. Because sometimes people are busy, and energy's busy, and there's nobody around, and you get those people in place, those people that you can go get a massage and you feel nurtured, or you go and to a women's group, and you just sit and crochet, or all these things where it's like you find those places where you can feel supported in a way that's not asking of somebody else. It's an equal exchange.
Mm-hmm. A win-win.
Yeah. So, I think that, the purpose finding and all of the power of purpose, to me, is like, it's a lot of it's just the relationship you have with yourself, and that the light that you shine out into the world, like, so that you are, it's a clean energy that you're giving, and you're showing up with that, so others can have the room to do that themselves.
Mm-hmm. We talked about that last time with intuition too. So if anyone hasn't watched that, go back and watch it.
Yeah,
you can show up with that clean energy. I like what you said.
Yeah, intuition is huge. I feel like, I had shared last night about staying with my girlfriend and not having a key, and or having a key, but not knowing how to really get this wiggly, like, sticky lock. And I wasn't tapping into my intuition, I guess, because I was just burnt, and I had to go to this restaurant, and I just sat still, and I didn't talk to anybody. I didn't try to smile to anyone. I didn't try to make anyone else feel comfortable. I just sat there, and I just looked straight ahead, and I just kind of, like, it was like I was plugging into my own source, and just, like, sat there for a second. And then that made me remember that my phone was dead, like, well, not dead, but it was like, 10% or something. So I found a little outlet and I sat in this chair. It's kind of in this corner, and I sat there and I felt like kind of, okay, my energy's getting better. And my phone only got to like 20%. And like I said, I mean, I was kind of outside of her house. So I wasn't sure if I go back and then my phone dies, then I'm kind of screwed, because then, I'm there without any, whatever. I guess I'm not screwed. I'll be sitting on her steps. She'll show up some point. So I was sitting there and just like, I felt, because I finally was sitting still and had some quiet time, I felt this urge to get up, grab my phone, and walk to her house. And I knew she wasn't going to be home because I had been texting her. I know she's not going to be there, but there was just something that told me to just go. So I wasn't like, okay, I hear you, I'm going to go. It was just so natural. Like, I took my phone, unplugged it, walked to her house. And as soon as I walked to her little steps to her door, one of the neighbors was walking out the front door with their laundry basket. And I was just like, oh, yes, thank you, intuition. Because if I would have questioned it or been busy or whatever, I probably wouldn't have felt the natural, like, feeling to just get up and go. And I was able to get into the house and start the downtime, relaxing, just nurturing energy again out of, instead of being outside in the busy world. So that's why, the last one we did talking about intuition it is really important, because you can follow it. You don't have to ask big questions. You can just follow it and see how things, work out.
You know what? It was coming up too is I remember when I couldn't identify my intuition, where I was like, oh yeah, I think this is right. I don't know. And I was just kind of lost, even though I still had it. I just couldn't recognize it. So what I would say to the people that are feeling that is just follow your desires, your excitement, your passions, even if it is, like you mentioned, knitting or playing basketball or walking, anything at all. Just keep following that, because that's going to create more of a connection to your intuition, which will in turn create moments like this and enable you to step into your power in the moment. Because what you did, Marci, is you harness your power it's just a natural power, right? As a woman, you were harnessing your intuition, you were enabling the flow to happen, and you honored the cycles of what was given to you in the moment, which I think is another piece of the puzzle altogether. But yeah, so desires, I think, is a big piece that a lot of people forget. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, again, people get busy and most people are working on deficit energy, and they're seeking what they can outside of themselves from moment to moment. So yeah, it's.
I mean, for example, you're like, both you and I have this in our stories. Like, you desired to have that creative expression, and then it moved into hair, which now is moving you into another phase while still using that. And then for me, my desire was like space, and it's moving me into a bigger connection and another phase as well. So I think just before intuition happens, and that power piece for anyone, um, follow where, like, go where you're led, go where you're excited, and even go where it is also a little scary, because excitement and fear have the same kind of vibration, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a piece of that courage, even if it's just to join a knitting club or a walking club or anything silly like that. It is still going to spark something in you for that purpose to be ignited again.
Yeah.
Marci, what do you think is like the biggest piece of the power puzzle? Because I was thinking about that today, and I know for me, I think it's the feminine as far as women, because I really work with women only. But harnessing that feminine power and qualities within them, like intuition, like flow and surrender and listening, and all of those subtle, softer characteristics. But what do you think is the biggest power piece as far as purpose and kind of owning yourself?
I guess, I mean, for me, it's I guess working with your connecting to your personal mission statement. I feel like the easiest way to really harness power is to kind of understand moment to moment, like, what I feel like my internal compass is guided by that, like seeking out, like if you haven't worked with a coach and figured out your core values, and you haven't worked with even like your core desired feelings or anything like that, where you have this core element that you understand that gives you guidance, gives you a place to start. Um, when I feel like I'm losing my power, or I'm feeling like I'm giving up my power, I'm usually not sitting in a space where I'm tapping into how I want to feel or what my values are. And um, so to me, really, if I look at it, that at that one point, that is, like I wrote down like one of the, missions I work with, they vary too. They vary from like what I'm feeling, but I have a few that I work with depending on like what's going on, and then they change, but I kind of have a little bit of a connection to it every moment. And one of the things I wrote down even just right now is my mission is to show up so others are inspired to live a life with courage, confidence, and clarity. And so if I connect to that, and the example I had kind of hinted to was that, we had planned on taking this call where we were going to be together. And last night when I saw that I didn't have enough time at the house, I had to spend 2 extra hours at a restaurant, and I didn't have the time I needed to really just sit still and be in a space that was really calm and grounded and doing that. By the time I got in and relaxed, I already felt like I was in a deficit. I was already in a deeper deficit, where I had been out all day and had all these great experiences with people, but I went over the edge, and I almost didn't know how I was going to get back. And then I started to have guilt because I knew I had this responsibility tomorrow, and I started to look into it, and then I got anxious, and then I kind of had restless sleep, and I had, so I started to go that direction, because then I started to think my responsibilities and guilt and all these things. And then I woke up and I said, oh, I have the morning, and I'm going to, do my thing, and started doing all this stuff. And I had to take that moment and think, how am I going to take care of myself? Because what made this trip so beautiful was that I followed my intuition and started this trip to come down and take care of clients I hadn't seen in 2 years. All of these beautiful synchronicities, all of these beautiful things came through for me. And once I teetered past that, I realized when I'm on the train, when I'm on the bus going, when I'm on the train, when I get and actually see Michelle, I'm not going to be the person I want to be. I'm not going to radiate my truth because I'm not going to have anything to give. And then I'm going to go home, and I'm not going to be the person I want to be on the train to the airport. And I'm not going to be the person I want to be sitting next to someone who might need me to be the person that I want to be. So I'm going to sit next to someone, and I'm not going to be radiating my truth. And then I'm going to get home, and my niece and nephew are in town when I get home from my trip, and I'm not going to radiate my truth to them. And then I'm going to, be alone for a little bit. And then I'm going to have clients at the hair salon in Portland, and I'm not going to be able to radiate my truth there. So I'm going to be working on this strong deficit. So in that moment, I had to make a choice. So I said, if I don't stop and take care of myself and and do my meditations and go for a walk in the park, have a lunch, get grounded, pack for tomorrow, do all these things that are going to help me be grounded, I won't be living my mission statement. I won't be living in my purpose. And those things that I might need, those moments that can show up for me, might not happen because I didn't listen to my intuition. I didn't do what I needed to be me. So I think that for me is my biggest power piece, is that letting go of the guilt, letting go of the, shameful moments, letting go of doing things because you feel like you should and it's the right thing to do for someone else, and just connecting is like, how am I going to show up the best version of me, and what do I need to do to get there so that tomorrow I can be that sparkly, luminous, happy person that is going to touch somebody in a way that will help them get closer to that, whether it's a smile, whether that's, picking up their bag because it fell over, whatever. Being able to show up as that person that makes me feel like myself, that closest to myself, instead of being like sunglasses on, not going to help anybody. Don't look at me. Don't try to talk to me. I'm just going to pretend we are all not just like squished into this airplane. Like, it's like really knowing how you want to show up for the rest of your day, the rest of your week, whatever.
Yeah, showing up in the present moment for like what is going to have the biggest, most profound and positive impact, that trickle effect that you're talking about, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you made me think of something. I love talking about feeling electric. So what you were talking about, sparkly, feeling sparkly, luminous, and really shining your light. To me, that makes me feel electric, and that's why I like bright colors, right? But it also makes me think of feeling really grounded, like you were talking about. So harnessing those two feelings in general, I think anyone can harness their power if they're coming from that aspect and kind of predicting what is the best choice in the moment, right? Like, is it going to serve me to settle right now, like you said, and get on this train and spend some time in traffic, and then what will happen afterwards? Then that's also another piece I feel like is not talked about, is the predicting factor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you predicting all of that consciously and purposefully. You just created like a linear situation, and you just knew what you needed because you knew the end, what the end would bring you, right?
Yeah.
And I don't feel like that there's any conversations like that too often, as far as being really mature and predicting what is possible from the choice and the place that you're showing up in the moment. I just feel like that is so common to kind of just say, oh, well, I should do this, right? The should, what do you call it? The
The
should
should.
show? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One of my other friends called it the shackles of the shoulds. It's so fun.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like really being honest with yourself. So you were really honest and you got real, and you know what? It was totally fine that you didn't come here. We're together now. That's really the important part. So I think that piece of getting real and showing up as a mature adult and woman is a huge part that plays in, what is possible for the next moment to come and the next moment. And then synchronicity happens and magic happens and all of that. So I agree. I like what your little story there about making those decisions in the moment and listening to your power and intuition.
Well, and there's I was kind of thinking about in preparation, because I don't like to prepare too much because then I get really stiff. I feel like
Yeah.
I kind of get like, I'm gonna talk about this now, and
Yeah.
that's so not me. So I was kind of looking up, and I kind of said, like, if you break down purpose and we just say, one's pose and one's pure, kind of like break it down in just general.
Ooh, yeah.
I started to think about that, and I was like, kind of like, okay, well, let's think about pose. And pose is kind of like, if you just look at the general, definition, it's kind of like, what are you trying to look like? I'm like, gonna pose for this picture, it's kind of like, and there's something not natural about it. But then I thought, like, if you just focus on pure and being pure within your own intentions and your own integrity and whatever that is, that you're harnessing in your heart and like working through, just connecting to the purity of truth within, with yourself, is that is, also a way to just connect to purpose, is just taking out the pose and
Or
looking
pose your purity, right?
and just work with the pureness, the pureness of you, and the relationship with that. The other thing is that um, that I talked about also, and I'm just gonna go over my notes just because I thought like I wrote them, so they probably meant something at some point when I was going over this. And I was talking about, when you're far off course, you trust, and that's what happened. And I wrote this before last night, and I felt far off course, and I just trusted that I needed to just sit there and plug my phone in and just hang out for a second. but I couldn't be in the sitting where I was sitting. Something told me, like, just don't sit here anymore. You're still kind of on. There's a little chair in the corner. It kind of was a weird spot, but it felt better to sit there and plug my phone in than for me to be kind of like on edge at this kind of bar stool area, where people were kind of coming in and their like back was like ordering over my shoulder. And so, you know,
That's a feng shui piece, by the way.
yeah, it's like when you're far off course, trust, and let those feelings come in. And then, like you had mentioned, it's like, do things that inspire you. When you're far off course, just do things that inspire you and share them, and just, follow the excitement. And I think that's really important. And there was also a quote that I saw from, it's Diana Ross. It says, you can't just sit there and wait for people to give you that golden dream. You got to get out there and make it happen for yourself. And I think sometimes when I'm talking to people and they're confused about what to do next, and what it all means, and they're kind of getting caught in that, sometimes it puts a pause, and you can kind of look at like how you do things. Like I was talking to somebody yesterday about that they were looking for something, and to kind of give them, and it wasn't even about to the length of like a sign. And I said, it sounds like you needed a carrot. Like you're used to seeing a carrot like dangled in front of you so you could go after it. So you're not necessarily looking for a sign. You're looking for a carrot. And sometimes people need something to chase after. That's what they're used to. Then sometimes that doesn't work anymore, but you maybe still need a little bit of a carrot out there so that you get the momentum to then be open to what shows up. And so I think it's just being honest with yourself, like in different parts of your life, like if you're feeling stagnant, like how to at least get some moving energy so that you can, be in the motion of feeling purposeful. And I guess that's kind of, when I see someone struggling with like, well, I don't know what to do next. It's good to see that, there's just different ways to create momentum in your life, and it's not always somebody doing it for you. It's not always this magic, boat coming by and picking you up and taking you to your purpose. It's a lot of it's just, like another quote. Yeah, having the courage to just go and do and see. And that was the other piece, that there was another quote that we had talked about yesterday in this conversation about the fact that, and again, it's like a Steve Jobs quote. So it's like just talking about how you can't connect the dots in the future. You can only connect the dots in the past. So you can look back and you can see like how everything worked out the way it should and why things might have happened and all these things after they're done. But really, if it's just a little carrot that you dangle in front of you, that's the only dot you really have to go off if you're not connecting to your intuition.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of
another thing that comes up. So if they're not following their intuition, right? That means they're coming, at least something around this. It means they're coming from fear. So power either comes from love or fear, right? So if you can come as much as you can from love, you're going to be led. You're going to step into your purpose, whether you like it or not, because in that vibration, there's nothing more powerful than love, and pure love is who you are. It's the pure pose that you give to the world. Do you like I did that? Pure
yeah,
pose.
That was
Yeah, so I think that exactly what you're saying, just bringing in, I think that's my biggest, I don't know, piece to share is that love piece. Because if they're not coming from love, if they're doing it, oh, I better get that carrot because it's there. Oh, I don't know, fear of missing out, FOMO, or anything.
Yeah. Well, and who put the carrot up? Sometimes it's like not them that even put the carrot up. So they're not understanding what they're running after anyways. It's like, I might put a carrot up like, oh, I want to, go on a vacation and that's going to keep me focused on, showing up at work the way I need to in a way that works. And if I don't do that, then, sometimes I get off course and then I'm like, I don't want to work. I just want to sit around. It's like, okay, well, maybe there's a part of me that still needs a carrot. So I'm going to dangle one to just keep me, focused on something that matters to me. And that matters because what happens when I travel, I get to feel sparkly and luminous, and I get to meet people and chat with them, and they get to tell me their stories, and I love it. And so, if I don't have something like that in the future, a lot of the times I'm like, what is this all for? Why am I working? And then I go on a trip and I'm in it and I'm like, oh yeah, this is why I like working, because yes, I do it day to day, but I kind of lose sight of why it works. And then I go and do this thing and I have this fresh perspective and I feel great. And then that kind of comes home. And so, sometimes we need a little bit of a carrot, but we need to know that we put the carrot up.
Yeah.
Not chasing after somebody else's carrot they dangled in front of us that they told us one time, you should go to do this, and you should do that, and you should do that.
And that's part of the practice. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's about all I got on that.
Yeah. So there's no one live on the line right now. So I think we should just share maybe our top tips. But I don't know. I feel like I already shared some of mine. Purpose is going where you're led and going where you are excited. That's your luminous, that's your sparkly that you were talking about, right? Is because you were going where you're led, where you're excited, where you're ignited, where you're interested, instead of like, I should go over there. Maybe they're doing it, so maybe I should do that too. Or my dad did this, so I probably should do that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, the excitement piece is a big one. I think the other, coming from love, and then, honoring your desires. Because what I hear a lot, at least from my clients too, is they tell me their desires and then that's that. They're like, oh, I really like doing this. It's so much fun for me. I'm like, great. Can we get started with like the plan for that? And they're like, no, I'm working here right now. This pays the bills. And so they just block off the possibility, right? And it hurts me so much because it doesn't matter. You don't have to step into like the grand dream first. It's not one big giant step. It's that first step of what moves you towards your desires, your excitement, love, what moves you closer to that. I feel like that's a big tip from me, at least, to move into your purpose. What about you? Any other things we haven't touched upon? To move into your purpose?
I don't know if anyone on Periscope, we're talking about the power of purpose. I have about 4 people on right now. Michelle and I are talking. I'll flip it because you guys can see obviously what I look like. But we're doing a Google Hangout and we're talking about the power of purpose. And what we're closing out with is a little bit of tips on that, on purpose finding. So I don't know if anyone live right now has any questions last minute while we're wrapping up. But for me, I think the first thing, if you're struggling, I think a lot of the times if you're sitting and you're going, what am I supposed to do? I'm lost. I don't know. I hate my job, or I hate this, or hate whatever. Is that the first thing is like, making sure even if you're not working with somebody yet, maybe you're not working with the coach, you're not ready to make big shifts. You're not ready to step into that kind of change, because man, transition is tough, man. Transition into that change is where the good juicy stuff comes. So if you're not really ready to make that kind of thing, just getting in touch with what your values are, what your mission statement is, what your personal mission statement, and you can like go online and you can look up all kinds of ways to figure out your personal mission statement, but just having something every day that you can work towards so that you can start creating oh my God, I went totally blank. So you can have your own rituals, daily practices, whatever you need that keep you in integrity with your personal values, and then understanding how you want to feel so that in the moment you're guided to that. Like you said, it's not about I want to be a singer. I'm going to dangle a carrot because I want to go and I want to be a singer, and this is who I'm going to be. This is what it's going to look like. I'm going to go on stage and I'm going to work. You know, you can do that, but why don't you just start? If you're lost, just start with, I like to sing. I want to sing. Singing makes me feel good. And you just start that small. Don't have to think, well, I wish I was, you know, the singer on Broadway and da 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 da. It's like you just have to focus on what makes you feel good, what makes you feel alive, what makes you sparkle, what makes you have this little crackle inside that your heart opens and expands, and then you can just go from there. And so I think it's about keeping it simple, starting small, and just getting in touch with your own core, what it means to be you, and work on that.
I'm hearing the acceptance piece too, Marci. So, for example, if someone wants to be a singer, like you said, might be a little scary. They might not be able to say, I want to sing, right? So that acceptance piece might be a great way to start as well. And just knowing actually what you're curious about, what you're excited, what are you led to, what do you love to watch from others, what do you admire in others.
Usually something you admire in another person. It's like it's something that you feel that you're lacking. And really good to see that when you watch someone doing something and they're connecting to something so beautiful, whether it's dancing or singing or something expressive, you know, there's just a part of you that wants to be out there expressing yourself, you know, more.
Absolutely. Well, I believe our purpose as a woman is to be fully expressed. That's my personal belief. But so this is wonderful.
No, I agree.
Oh.
Agreed. I was just stopping the Periscope, but yes, agreed. I absolutely believe that we should live in the full expression of our spirit. So you gotta do that. Find that place within yourself to express deeply, truly, freely, whatever.
And get the support. For example, this whole happy hour hangout, like the reason why it's happening is because we like to see the reflection in each other, Marci and I. So the support and the reflection from others is super, super key. But just remember that. So even if you don't have that support, how can you get it? What are the smallest steps that you can get it so that you can see yourself in a bigger way?
Yeah.
Greater way.
And now I forget, what's the I forget, do we have for fall, did we have what our topic is that we're going to be working on for
you know,
fall?
I have it written down somewhere, Marci, and I don't know where it is. So I will have to share that in the Facebook event. We'll keep the Facebook event.
Yes. So you can, you know, if you catch this replay and you're looking for our next one, hopefully maybe we can plan it to where it'll be one of my trips when I come down and we can actually do it. We can have like an actual get together.
Yeah.
We can plan it so I can sit in that amazing, behind that, or in front of that amazing color that you have on that wall.
Oh, thank you. Yes, this is my office, my new office. Oh, color is so important, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
We both love color. Hey, what are you drinking, by the way?
I am doing a kombucha today. I was definitely feeling. I had some tea as well over here, but I felt like it was gonna be soft, a little bit sloppier to try to drink on camera. So I did a little thing of kombucha.
Beautiful. I'm drinking water out of a fancy glass.
Ooh, is that a purple or blue goblet?
Yeah, purple.
Ooh, purple, my favorite.
See, I think that's part of my purpose is color, and that's the inspiration piece. So I surround myself with inspiring things that ignite, you know, make me excited.
Ooh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you so much, Marci. I love you. It's just so fun to, I just want to give you a hug. Digital hug. Oh, we're going to do shoulder dancing. Oh, yeah.
So you got to have the outro.
which I need to create a song that I can play so that I don't have to have any. I'll curate the song so that there's no like. It'll be our. I'll figure out, maybe I can have Danny make us an outro song, that we can play, because the rights will be mine.
Perfect. Get on that.
Oh man. All right, till next time.
All right, bye everyone. Thanks for watching. Bye.